Amisha.
Misha, okay, great.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Executive Compass. This is where we get insights from B2B executive firm founders. We'll dive into their story, how they got started, their challenges and opportunities, and how they're shaping their business for the future. For those of you joining this podcast, I'm Amisha Srimankar, founder of Vectra Growth Partners, and we specialize in helping executive firms scale their revenue in 12 months. Today's guest is Ron White, founder and CEO of Prestige Workforce Solutions. Hey, Ron, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Misha, nice to be here.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing fine. In a very stressful time, I'm doing fine.
Stressful meaning busy with work or?
Busy with work and just it's been a busy time overall.
Okay, well, busy is sometimes good, right? I mean, as long as, it's the good busy and not the stressful and the bad kind.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Atlanta, Georgia.
Wonderful. Okay, for our audience today on the call and whoever's going to be seeing this recording later, do you mind doing a brief introduction?
Yes, my name is Ron White. I've been in the recruiting IT business for most of my life. Actually, I started when I was 18 years old, right out of high school. I was fortunate enough that I worked a co-op job in my senior year with a lady by the name of Mary Rovelli, and she introduced me to a gentleman named Tom Benji, and it's because of these two individuals that I launched my career. Gave me a fantastic deal where I could go to school full-time and get paid full-time as an employee, and that started me off in IT. And from the IT consulting perspective, I left the company I was at with them, went to what it was my first taste of professional services, and I worked for a company called CTG for probably 13. And CTG introduced me to the consulting layer where companies would contract with us to provide COBOL programmers, project managers, what have you. And we grew a pretty large practice in Harrisburg, got recognized for that. And when the company went through a reorganization, they asked me if I would love to come down to move to Atlanta, to which I absolutely said no at first. But eventually we worked that out, and I came to Atlanta in 1995, and I've been here ever since.
Wonderful. And so what's been the length of your recruiting journey overall? Is it 20 years plus, more?
It's actually, I would say my recruiting started probably in 1992. And I say that because as a project manager, you pick your team. And a lot of times you've got a recruiter, but you're doing as much as the recruiter to make sure you get the right people out at the customer site to get the project done. So that's when my first interaction with recruiting started. And it started quietly. It wasn't like you said one day, hey, I'm going to recruit. You just did it because that was a function that you needed to do. Through that early transition as a project manager, when I moved here and took over the South, I actually had recruiting and sales, all of it rolled up to me. And I would then use recruiting to build my sales teams. I had sales teams in Atlanta, 2 offices in Tennessee, 3 offices in Florida, and 1 in Mississippi. And I would be responsible for hiring salespeople because ultimately all reported up to me. So I used my recruiting skills even back then. And slowly but surely, my career has evolved as such. I've always had an aspect of recruiting with whatever I did, even though that wasn't necessarily my main thing. It was always something I had to do to accomplish my main thing.
Understood. So tell me a little bit about when you started Prestige Workforce Solutions. When did that happen?
Actually, Prestige is about a year and a half old. Before Prestige, I owned an express employment franchise here in Decatur area of Georgia. I owned that for about 7 years, and that was an eye-opener. That's the first time I dealt with non-technical people. So I had to adjust to the difference in how perceived work ethics and everything else. And I started dealing with light industrial people, and I said, well, it's really not my thing. And I wanted to build a better model. So my model had always been permanent placements, even up until that point. So I said, well, I'm going to go back to doing permanent placements. What I did like, though, when I did have my express franchise, is that I did not only light industrial, I did a lot of legal work. And that was my first time, other than being in divorce court, being around attorneys, and I decided that, hey, I like these guys. One thing I always say, attorneys know what they want. They may be difficult to work with at times, but they know down to the exact final trait what they want. And I found that to be pretty energizing.
Okay. And so, cut to when you started Prestige Workforce Solutions. Are these the areas that you have dived in completely?
So with Prestige, I do a lot of legal recruiting. I would say legal recruiting is probably 50% of what I do.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of technical recruiting as well, and I do a lot of small business recruiting. And for small businesses, they may need an office manager, they may need somebody at the front desk. It's of administrative nature, so I find those folks as well. And I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn. I always talk about the value of LinkedIn. And here's how that LinkedIn has helped my business.
Yeah.
I
Tell
do,
me more.
I do so much posting about legal, my legal travels, put a number of stories out there, some funny, some serious. A national firm actually saw some of my postings, and they do everything. They do everything I do and then some. So they approached us about, hey, would you like to do some sourcing for us? We see you do a lot in the legal space. I said, sure. And we started working with them probably about 5 months ago. And right now, I would say that's a good portion of our delivery portfolio is helping them help their customers.
So tell me, I mean, how easy and how or shall I say, how challenging and how rewarding is it dealing with three different ideal client profiles? We call them ICPs. You've got the small business client, you've got the legal client, as well as the technical side of the your clientele. How are they similar and how are they different?
They're all similar in that. I'll start with the small business. Anytime a small business hires somebody, they are looking for that person to make an immediate impact on their bottom line. So they don't have necessarily the fluff or the bandwidth that a larger legal firm would have, or even an IT organization. Hiring for that community, I take very serious because I was a small business when I owned Express. So I know every time you hire somebody, you're hiring for impact. If you're not hiring for impact, you're really wasting your time as well as the person's time. Legal, as I stated before, legal, they're hiring for, it's almost like you're putting together a football team. Sometimes you need to replace Matt Ryan, our former quarterback here in Atlanta. So you go out and you find a quarterback. Sometimes it may be somebody that is running the business of legal for you, an office manager, a practice manager, and then sometimes it's that administrative person. All three of those people are in the equation are very important for what they do. Their function is very important. So I treat that as well, if not better, than the small business guy. The IT guys, me being a former IT guy, I'm mostly now for skills around IA related. That's a difficult, well, that's not a difficult, but there's a lot of talent out there now, and you really, it's even more specialization than when I was in IT now, or before, so yes.
Great. And we won't ask you which is the most challenging or the difficult clientele among the three of these.
I would say probably.
You don't have to really answer that.
Yeah.
It's fine if you don't want to.
Yeah. Because I got to see these people tomorrow mornings. Yeah.
Awesome. So you gave me a little bit of an insight into what kind of roles you hire for, say, when it comes to small business clients and the legal. There's the office manager. Then there is perhaps maybe a marketing manager. What other roles are you hiring for the tech guys? Is it more of a senior role, mid-management?
It's actually across the board. We hire what would be the equivalent of an infrastructure manager. We hire just short of calling somebody a CIO. I've seen positions along there. The developers are much more technical with the tool sets that they use. So we're hiring people from not only here, but people outside the country because of their skill sets. So it's a different ball game now. Developer advocate, we never had a position like that when I was in IT, but those positions are very important now. And from an IA perspective, user experience is key. So there's a lot of clients that are looking for specifically people that are used to building applications or services that have that user experience already built in. And they're looking for an IT guy, but an IT guy with a kind of a marketing slant to them. It's the pay scales are certainly much greater now, but also the demands of what the expectations are equally as great.
What's been your response to the current job market? Like, just I know this is a blanket statement that tech is hard, healthcare is hard, everything is hard, jobs are hard to come by. What's been your response and what's your firm's outlook in 2026?
Well, I'm certainly looking for my outlook to be better in 2026 than it was in 2025. I tell my friends, they said, you got dealing with smaller business now, more boutique. So what's your biggest competition? Who's your biggest competition? I said, well, I've lost more deals to this one guy that just kills me. And he said, who's that? What company is that? I said, the company called No Decision. We lost more business last year, all the way down to the finish line, and the companies could not make a decision. And they couldn't make a decision for a number of reasons. Either the president made a statement about tariffs, or their customers are impacted because of anxiety around where the economy was. And so it's a number of positions that just didn't get filled last year because of no decision.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. Ron, tell us, where are your clients located? Like, where do you do the hiring for? Is it just Atlanta or just Georgia, or do you venture out of state and do placements?
When it was just our firm here locally, it was all based and all pretty much Georgia based. When I built the relationship with the firm I spoke of earlier, the national firm, right now I have more recruiting opportunities in California, a lot in New York, Austin, Texas, I would say Boston, and San Francisco, even Singapore. So it's
interesting.
It's a lot different now, and my work day starts at. I get up. I'm an early bird. I literally wake up every morning, no later than 2:00 in the morning, and I sit there and I go through my prayer and what have you. But after going to the gym, I'm back in my house and ready to go about 7:00. And from 7 to 7, I'm gone. That's more.
Amazing. And is this recruitment across all of your sectors, or is it just the legal?
No, it's across all sectors.
It's across all sectors.
I do a lot of startup recruiting for startup firms in California specifically.
Yeah. I would imagine with all the tech startups primarily, that would be the dominant. Yeah, wonderful. Tell us about your teams. I mean, there's so much business, there's so much of excitement, there's, a lot of expansion that I'm hearing. What does your team look like to handle all the fulfillment?
Well, our team is relatively small. The one thing that has really improved, the technology now that helps us do our jobs are much better. We have built a relationship, and I won't be able to mention their name just now, with a firm that's helping us with lead generation, a solution that you probably see on Instagram in the middle of the night. That's how I first ran into them. The recruiting tools that we use now are all AI based and are working very well. We're able to find difficult skill sets quite easily now, and it's the automation has been tremendous. We used to have 3 to 4 people when I owned Express, and we did a certain amount of work. I can now do that same amount of work with 1.5 to 2 people because of AI. And so we use AI for practically everything. From the door to truck, we use AI. I'd love to know a little bit more about that. Like, what exactly in your operations do you use AI? It seems to me that you're using it to screen candidates and resumes. That's probably one aspect of it, but what else? We use it to screen candidates and the resumes. We also use it to find the candidates, particularly with the California aspect. The one concern I had was, how I'm going to find people. I know people in the Atlanta market because I've been here long enough, but how would I find a particular skill set in, say, California or New York, what have you? And I just happened to be with there's a recruiters group down here, and one of my associates said, "Hey, have you heard of this solution yet?" I said, "No." And he said, "You got to check this out." And just as he was showing it to me, I got an email saying, "Hey, we want to talk to you about what we're doing." And it was the same company. So he spent half the seminar that we were at showing me this great solution. And I tried it out the next week, and I was able to find what I was looking for in those various markets quite easily. So now that's part of our standard tool set. And we've got, there's some other AI stuff that's hit the market. Haven't gotten into the automated interviewing thing yet. I'm not even sure I will get into that. To me, if you're hiring for a bunch of maybe standard or labor-based skills, maybe that makes sense. But in my business with attorneys and high tech and small business, it's really about the relationship.
Yeah.
You want a candidate to have a good customer experience with you as an individual, because when they go to that job, they'll remember who put them there, and then they'll also remember, hey, Ron's a good guy, and my friend needs a job. I'm going to call Ron. Or, hey, I want to look for another opportunity. I'm going to call Ron. They won't necessarily do that if you've had automation interview them and try to build a relationship with them.
Yeah. No, I see that. And I've been hearing that sentiment echoed across the board when I've spoken to other founders, that they're not so thrilled about using AI to interview candidates.
Right.
They'd rather it just be them, because, the human element to pick up on tone, psychology, and understanding, you can't replace that. Not yet. AI's not there. I know. But the other things, like what you mentioned, it has been a great efficiency partner to do that for you and, to work alongside with you. So I hear you. And I love that your team's been using AI to kind of like reduce their workload.
Yes. It's we've built using GPT, we've built a smaller chat thing that actually assess the resumes that we get in against the requirements that we posted. So that's able to filter through 10 candidates and say, okay, these are the 3 you should be speaking to immediately.
Yeah.
And so that helps point us in the right direction very quickly.
I love that. So that's what's been working well for you right now, which I'm loving all the things that you've been telling me. What's been challenging for your firm, and one of the things that's been challenging in the business, and what are you doing to maybe resolve that or minimize the impact this year?
I would say when you're recruiting, I do both recruiting and sales. But when I'm recruiting, it kind of takes me away from the sales side. That's been a challenge in the past. I think what I feel now, that the solution that we're installing in place now will alleviate some of those issues or problems or pressures. Right now, we've got a lead generation tool that we're going through testing as we speak that runs 24/7. It does a lot of the initial contact and follow-up autonomously. And then when I get it, and I get LinkedIn connections I don't even know of, but it's based on my profile and their profile.
Yeah.
It just cuts down a lot of time that I would have normally spent doing that. So it's when I'm able to actually go out and do, and also belong to here locally a professional networking group. But I've been able to cut down some of my networking activities because I've got this thing running alongside me, kind of in the background all the time. So that's really helped focus me more towards when I'm making contact, build that relationship very quickly and have it be a true relationship.
Yeah, you got to love that automated outreach. It's just one of the best things, right? I mean, nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm curious, how well has that been working for you? When did you implement that?
We're actually still implementing it now. We're going through, I would say, like phase 2, phase 3 of our beta test. We initially started it back in the fall of last year, and we ran into some problems, and the data wasn't as clean as it needed to be. And so we actually got on the phone call with the founders, and they were like, well, we have customers who are in these other industry segments. We don't have anybody like you, and we really would love, because if we solve it for you, there's so many of you out there, it would be a big help to them. So we've agreed to do a beta together, and we meet every Thursday at 2:00 to kind of go over where we are, what we're seeing here out in the field, and how we could modify it to be better for us. So at the end of the day, they'll end up with a solution, and I'm going to end up with what I call my new best friend, my new salesperson.
Yes, totally. Love it. Ron, what goals do you have for 2026? I mean, where do you see the business going?
I would like to bring on, or a couple goals. I want to grow I would like to add another 2 junior type recruiters that would take over some of the workload. There are other firms, such as the partner firm I mentioned before, that have reached out to me. Actually, I'm meeting with one of them tomorrow. So that would be another channel, sales channel. And I don't have the bandwidth to necessarily do that right now, but I would love to bring on some other people that would be assigned to those various channels and kind of be their ambassador for the business.
Excellent. And what's one thing you could leave our audience, one key message or piece of advice in regards to growing their business and continue being successful?
Well, I would say learn this the hard way. I should have remembered it because Tom Benji told me. I think it was Tom who told me this. He said, "Don't be afraid to fail." And I'm like, well, failure's not good. It's like, failure is good. And then he said, failure is good because you learn from failure. So as long as you're learning, you fail this way, you won't fail that way again. You move on at a higher degree, and you're learning all along the way. I would tell anybody that runs a small business, learn from your failures. Don't take them as the absolute, they've crushed your life. They didn't crush your life. They gave you life. And use that strength to move on to other things and other challenges. Because as long as you do that, you're winning. You're not losing.
Excellent. Love it. Where can our audience find you and perhaps connect with you?
They can find me on my, first place they can find me is on LinkedIn. I'm a big
Okay.
So
Awesome.
They can find me out on LinkedIn. They can see my posts, whether it be for a job or whether it be some sort of funny thing for the week. I post almost every day out on LinkedIn. They can find me on my website, which is www.prestigewfs.com. And they could find me on, I don't want to say they can find me on Facebook, because they may find some things about me I don't necessarily want. But I'm also out on Facebook.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. This has been an absolute wonderful conversation. Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.